Hi, I'm Hannah, and I talk about perfume. Thanks for joining me today. Welcome if you're new, welcome back if you are returning. Today's video is all about the Dior Privee perfumes. I don't have all of them, but I have three. I'll talk about the three that I have and what inspired me to add them to my collection. You may have heard that in 2025, Dior is launching a new perfume called Bois Talisman. And with the launch of that perfume, they're also launching a new size of perfume bottle. So Bois Talisman is going to be available in a 100 and 200 ml size. But before that, Dior Privee perfumes were available in 40 ml, 125 ml, and 250 ml sizes. Dior is saying that now the perfumes are going to cost the same, but instead of being available in 125 and 250 ml bottles, they will be available in 100 ml and 200 ml bottles. So they're not raising their prices, but you're getting less perfume for the same amount of money that you would normally pay. The 40 ml sizes are not offered for all the perfumes. I've only seen them in some of the different perfumes that they offer in the line, and there's quite a few perfumes in the lineup, but that seems to be the size that's more coveted. And I know that people that are new to the line or maybe just new to buying perfume prefer a 40 ml size because it seems like the size that they are most likely to be able to use up in their lifetime, and then they can decide whether they really like the perfume or not before buying a larger size or trying a different perfume. But that seems to be the size that's difficult to find, and it's definitely not available for all the different Dior Privee perfumes that they offer. I actually was not aware of how many perfumes there are in the collection, but I have found out that there's many, and some are exclusive to Paris, some are exclusive to the Dior Spa in France, and you cannot even get them at a boutique, and some are just plain old, discontinued, and others are reformulated. So this is a line where, unfortunately, if you've just become a collector, you are going to have to do a lot of research about what is available and how you can get your hands on the things that are not available. Lucky for me, I'm not that kind of collector. I really don't care about something that I can't buy easily. And if I happen to be in Paris and I happen to smell some of the more difficult to find bottles or scents, then maybe I'll get them. But I'm also not the type of person that loves to impulse shop. It's really hard for me to just smell something and buy it on the spot. That's just the way I am. I've never been the type of person that can do that. So I don't think that I will be adding those to my collection unless I can sample them at leisure and then do the normal thing of looking for the best deal before I force myself to buy retail. So that's just me as a perfume lover. I'm just not that kind of collector. But if you are, then that is the road that you are going to be taking. So, of course, when I heard about the changes in bottle sizes, I had to grab a bottle of my favorite Dior Privee perfume, at least from the ones that I've smelled. And if I had to say that I had a signature scent, this would be pretty close to my signature scent. We know that I can never wear something 2 days in a row. It's really hard for me to wear something even 2 weeks in a row, like repeat it if I've worn it the week prior. But this is a perfume that I could go to sleep in, wake up in. I could wear it to anything in my life, from a job interview to the opera to hanging out with my friends to being by myself. This is a perfume that goes with all of those things, and that is Bois d'Argent. So I did get another bottle of Bois d'Argent immediately. Yes, there is a dent in this bottle because I did buy a pre-loved bottle. If you've watched my channel for a long time, you know that I am all about that, and I am very rarely the person that will buy something directly from the counter, although I have done that when I have to. I've bought many a Chanel at full price, but I didn't have to for Bois d'Argent. And I was describing, I was smelling this with a friend of mine. I was describing the bottle size change to her, and, you know, this whole concept of shrinkflation. So every time you buy something, even at the grocery store, the bottle's smaller, even the shampoo, even she was telling me about Pepsi, that Pepsi changed their sizes for their bottles because she's a huge Pepsi drinker. And it just, you know, when you see that and you notice that it happens, it pisses you off. But she was saying that for her as a perfume wearer, she's not a big collector. She'll probably buy a bottle once every 1 or 2 years. When she runs out of a perfume, that's when she'll go buy a new perfume. And she said for her, she probably wouldn't even notice a bottle size change. She would probably think, oh, this bottle looks a little bit smaller, a little bit fatter, maybe it's more squat, you know, but she wouldn't realize necessarily that she's paying the same price for a less amount of perfume. And I bet you that that is what the average perfume wearer is like. People probably aren't going to notice that they're going to get less perfume. And if they like Dior and they are just Dior customers, it probably won't even matter because they will continue to buy the perfumes that they love already. So I thought that was, you know, also an interesting way to look at it. Not everyone is like me and feels like they have to have backups of things when things are getting changed. Most people probably won't even notice, and maybe if their perfume isn't available anymore because it's gotten discontinued, they'll just go through the rest of the Privee line and get something else. Maybe that's how people are. Or sometimes that's when you see people complain about discontinuations and changes in formulas because they wear the same thing forever and then they can notice when it changes because they're so used to the same smell. So that also happens. But I had to get Bois d'Argent right away because it is my favorite Dior Privee scent and maybe one of my favorite perfumes of all time. And so I did add that to my collection, and now I feel like I'm ready. If they discontinue it or change the formula, at least I have this bottle and I can wear this until I find something else. And over the course of time, over the past few years that I've loved Bois d'Argent, I've tried all the dupes of it, or as many dupes as I can get my hands on from what people have said. I've tried the Bois d'Iris by Van Cleef & Arpels, and I liked that. It was a little bit woodier, not exactly the same, but it had the same vibe. And I've tried the Meo Fuschini perfume that is said to be similar to Bois d'Argent. Again, similar, but not really the same, which I'm fine with. And that's what makes Bois d'Argent so special to me. It's that I still can't find anything that's quite like it. I think it's so unique, and I know it's understated and it's not very over the top. It's not very strong. It doesn't have a very strong presence, but it does have its own character, and that's what I love about it. And I just think it smells so expensive. That's special, and it's only appreciated by a few people, and those people are the ones that get it. And anytime I've smelled this with friends, even on paper, some of them can't smell it at all. And I think that that's the combination of musks that's in it. I'm going to spray it on this Dior scent card. I think it's the combination of musks that are in it. I think some people are just anosmic to those kinds of musks, and luckily I'm not. And I think I can smell it just fine. Bois d'Argent means silver woods. Argent means silver in French, and bois means wood. So silver wood is the name of the perfume. And it does smell silvery. It does smell, I'm getting a lot of aromatic juniper in the top right now, which I don't always get on my skin. I really don't get a lot of the juniper. This was made in 2004, and the perfumer behind this is Annick Menardo. Later on, I believe around 2010, François Damaschi was the perfumer for Dior, and so he is, if you read about Bois d'Argent, sometimes he is credited as the perfumer for this perfume, but actually it was originally made by Annick Menardo, and it was launched in a set of 3 perfumes. So one of them was an eau de cologne and the other one was eau noir. And the person that did all the bottle design for the perfume was Adi Slimane, who was the creative director of Dior at the time. So he was most recently the creative director of Celine, and he's not anymore. And so you can see that kind of aesthetic, that Dior aesthetic from the early 2000s that came out in the Celine perfumes when they launched. And it's clear that Adi Slimane has something to do with it. I mean, he is said to be the creative director behind all the Celine perfumes. And if you smell Dior Intense, that came around in the early 2000s also, and has a very clear powdery character that's present in all the Celine perfumes as well. And then Bois d'Argent, the notes are also iris and amber and juniper berry, like I said. So it starts off very aromatic, but now I'm getting some sweetness in here. And the amber is really, really subtle. It's not your classic amber. It's not your classic blend of labdanum, benzoin, vanilla. It's more just a warmth that's present with the powdery iris that's in here. Some people can smell a honey note. Honey is a note that I actually hate. I cannot stand honey in a perfume. It automatically goes to the back of my throat and it makes me feel like I'm eating a spoonful of honey when I'm sick and it's hurting my throat and I have this sore throat already, and now I'm eating honey and I'm supposed to feel better and I don't. That's the feeling I get when I smell honey. But if there's honey in this, it's adding a subtle caramel kind of sweetness to the iris and adding that ambery warmth that we have in Bois d'Argent. It's really beautiful. The beauty is really in the dry down. And I've said this before, anytime I talk about Bois d'Argent, the first time I smelled this, I sprayed it on paper and I kind of thought it was okay. And I left the paper there. I had a bunch of scent strips lying on the table. And when I came back later, I came back to the table and smelled all the scent strips, and it was Bois d'Argent that I was smelling. And it smells so good. So I would say if you smell this on paper, if you're at the Dior counter and you smell this and you kind of don't get it, you're like, what is this lady talking about? This is nothing special. Smell it on paper and let it rest and come back to it. And that's how it smells when you're wearing it, because your skin warms it up more quickly than it would warm up on paper. And you'll get to that really creamy, bougie, ambery, powdery dry down later. And you'll get that on your skin a lot quicker, maybe within minutes, definitely within the hour. And that is what smells so good. And that's the appeal of Bois d'Argent. It doesn't hit you over the head. It's something that you can smell just when you move around, and you can appreciate it for that. So if you're looking for something that smells unlike other things that you've smelled before, this is the one that you want to smell, because nobody is smelling like this. Definitely still my favorite. I'm going to write it down on here. And I'm so glad that I jumped on a bottle. I always have this feeling that anytime they say they're changing bottle sizes, there's no guarantee that they're not going to reformulate things also. And I'm okay with reformulations. I kind of understand that that's just the way of the world, that things are going to get reformulated. But just in case, I wanted to have my bottle of Bois d'Argent. And the other thing is that they might just discontinue it. They have discontinued so many perfumes from the line. Also understandable, I totally get it. They seem to be introducing new perfumes all the time. So to make space for new things, you have to reduce what you're offering. If not altogether, then at least at the counter, You you just don't have space for everything. So I understand all that. And so I just wanted a bottle of Bois d'Argent just in case it was disappearing forever. I'll admit that I'm a little, or at least I feel like I'm a little late to the game when I am talking about the Dior Privee collection. I definitely have overlooked it, and I don't know why that is, but I've sampled different things from the line. So I've sampled Eau Noir, Oud Ispahan, which is really popular. I've sampled, I reviewed Dior Riviera when it first came out, and that was the first Francis Kurkdjian perfume for the line. But I really didn't feel like I knew the line well enough, and so like a good perfume enthusiast, I went down to the Dior counter and they were having a pop-up with all the Dior Privee perfumes, and I smelled them all, and I really was a little bit more thoughtful this time when I was smelling them. I wasn't smelling them as a drive-by smelling on the way to do something else. I was really just there to smell them, and I was taken through them by someone that was working for the brand. So I was really happy with my experience there. It wasn't anything special. I just went to the counter and said, I want to smell these. And that's what I did. And then there were a few that stood out to me, and I guess I just had not paid attention to them before. So there's two that I really, really liked at the counter. The first is Vanilla Diorama. And I put this on skin because it was very intriguing on paper, and I really liked how it dried down. So I ended up getting a bottle of that. And then the other one that I really did not pay attention to when I first smelled it was New Look. And this is New Look 2024, not to be confused with the New Look that had come out prior. This New Look was launched last year, and the perfumer behind this is Francis Kurkdjian. And when I first sprayed this, I had heard that it was a frankincense perfume. I think I actually first smelled it in Milan last year. And it kind of was really cold and weird, and not the smoky, gothic, churchy incense that I was expecting. I was really expecting something to jump at me and be like an ambery incense, and this is not an ambery incense. But because I was there smelling with a more open mind, and also with the eye of, which ones of these do I like, which ones speak to me, I think I appreciated it a little bit more when I smelled it this time. And so this one I ended up getting also, and I'll talk about both of these. All right, so I'm going to spray Vanilla Diorama first. This was my scent of the day earlier today, and I have really been sleeping on this because this is totally my kind of perfume. I liked it when I tried it at the counter, but then when I got my bottle at home, I was like, oh my God, this is totally my thing, because this has a top note of cardamom, and I love cardamom in perfume. So I can't believe I hadn't tried this before. This is really a spicy vanilla, and I think I was kind of turned off by the name Vanilla Diorama. It kind of seems very fun and young and not like a serious perfume, and I should have just smelled it without really even noticing what the name is, because it's so good. I wouldn't really say it's a fun vanilla. I would say that this is a spicy vanilla. It's quite an elevated vanilla, and if you like cardamom, this kind of smells like a vanilla cardamom confection. I don't want to say that it's very sweet like a cake. Like, it's almost going into gourmand territory, but doesn't really get there because it's not very, very sweet. And that is why I love it. I get this really dense kind of vanilla in the dry down, and I think that's because there's supporting characters at play here. So I get that there's a bit of benzoin powderiness. I feel like maybe there's a little bit of labdanum. It reminds me of other ambers, but there's just so much vanilla and so much cardamom in here that it really isn't like any other vanilla at the same time. The cardamom is really camphorous and very much present. So I think that's the other thing that really surprised me about it when I put it on at home, is that the cardamom was not just kind of there for show. It wasn't just there in the notes. It was actually present the whole time that I was wearing this perfume. And it kind of freshens up the vanilla, makes it a little bit lighter instead of it being really heavy and syrupy. You kind of get that mentholated quality that cardamom has, and it opposes the vanilla and keeps it from being too syrupy and too sweet. And it works just so well together. Kind of reminds me a little bit of cardamom tea. I would not call this chai because chai is very lactonic. But definitely, if you drink cardamom tea or you put cardamom in your coffee, it's flavoring the vanilla in that way. It's just so yummy and delicious, but at the same time, I still don't think that it's really quite as sweet as some of the gourmands that I've smelled before. It smells better than all of them. It still smells elevated and luxurious and like a perfume, which is what I love about it. I'm so happy I found this because this is, again, really my kind of perfume and lovely to wear. So if you like cardamom in your perfumes, you need to smell this one because it is beautiful. So that's Vanilla Diorama. Longevity and projection, really good. I would actually say that it's pretty strong on me. If I wear this on clothes, I find that I get lots more of the cardamom and I get that camphorous nature of the cardamom way more. When I wear this on skin, it warms up and I get more of the cardamom and vanilla and less of the camphorous nature of the cardamom. So depending on how you wear your perfume, you're going to get a different experience with this, and you can wear it both ways together. But if you don't want it to be too sweet, just wear it on your clothes or your hair. And if you like the sweetness and you want a little bit more of that ambery quality of perfume, then definitely wear this on skin because I found that it wore differently on my skin. So that's Vanilla Diorama. I'm really liking it, and I will be wearing this all winter. I'm so glad that I discovered this because this was really not on my radar at all, and I love, love, love cardamom in my perfume. Okay, and the other one that blew me away this time was New Look, which is a more recent addition to the Dior Privee family. This is the second Dior Privee by Francis Kurkdjian, and it was launched last year. This is aldehydes, frankincense, and amber. I'll be completely honest, I don't get a lot of the amber when I wear this, and I've worn this a few times after I got my bottle. I get a lot of the aldehydes, and I know that aldehydes are a little bit polarizing. Anyone that has a core memory of a grandparent or a parent or a teacher or anyone official wearing Chanel No. 5 will have memories of aldehydes and smelling aldehydes and knowing that, like, oh, I'm going to have to deal with something that I don't want to deal with. So I totally understand why people don't like aldehydes. I get it. However, if that doesn't apply to you, and it doesn't apply to me, then maybe you're not going to be bothered by the aldehydes. And the aldehydes in here are very sparkling, they're very clean, they're effervescent, they're bubbly. And then you get the frankincense, and this is a cold frankincense. So think of stone, think of being by yourself, you know, very much in the style of L'Orpheline by Serge Lutens, really in that style. That's the incense that we have here. And then the dry down is amber, and I don't really get a lot of amber on my skin. I really just get a lot of the incense and a lot of the aldehydes. Usually I find aldehydes dissipate really quickly. In New Look, I don't know why, for whatever reason, they seem to stick around way longer. If you want to try to understand New Look, and that might help you appreciate it for what it is, understand that this is a cold incense perfume and not a warm incense perfume. It's very much in the style of a Serge Lutens. And in fact, I think that if it was released as a Lutens, it would maybe have more favorable reactions because it just is so strange and almost austere in its own way. It's not a perfume that's very inviting. You're not going to wear this when you want to be seen as being approachable. You're going to wear this when you want people to leave you alone, or you want to be perceived as someone with authority. That is when you wear New Look. I really feel like it references a lot of the cooler incense perfumes from Serge Lutens. It kind of also reminds me of Meo Fuschini, which I sampled and then never got, and then I've rarely seen it available anywhere. But Meo Fuschini was an incense perfume by Lutens, and it was in those rectangular bottles that kind of looked like ice cubes, like they were clear glass and looked kind of icy. It was in one of those bottles, and people described it as being very metallic smelling, so like a metallic cold incense. And I really liked it. I wish I had gotten a bottle, but I didn't. And New Look really kind of reminds me of that. And it's the aldehydes that give it that cool metallic quality, almost like touching your tongue to a cold spoon or a cold knife or something like that. That is what I think of when I think of New Look. I really liked it, maybe because I was open to experiencing a frankincense perfume that was different, and maybe because I had just added L'Orpheline to my collection and I really liked wearing that. Also kind of reminding me of Dior Bois, because Dior Bois has aldehydes in it and they're quite cold, and I love Dior Bois. So maybe just I've worn those so recently that I really, when I smell New Look, it didn't feel like something weird and unfamiliar and unapproachable. It felt like something I knew and I understood this time around, and so I had to get a bottle. I liked it, and I'm loving wearing this, and that is New Look, the 2024 version. Come to this when you're ready to come to it. I mean, really, the perfumes that you like, you're gonna like when you're ready for them. And maybe that's why you don't see a lot of negative reviews in Fragcom or from perfume lovers in general, because we kind of understand that if we don't like something, it's not because it smells bad, it's just because we don't connect to it in the moment. And so there's no point in giving it a negative review. And really, if you had asked me what I thought about New Look when it first came out, I would have said it's not very good. I didn't like it, but I like it now. But I'm liking these kinds of scent profiles right now in general. That is what I've most recently added to my collection and I've enjoyed wearing. And I talked about Dior Bois and how it like really brought me back to my childhood swimming lessons, and New Look kind of does that in a different way. I wouldn't say it really in the same way, but I like that it's this weird combination of aldehydes and incense. I like that. I like how cold it is, and definitely there's a place for smelling like that. And for every other time, there's Bois d'Argent. Bois d'Argent is a good one if you don't really want to smell like anything and you don't want people to know that you're wearing perfume. You can kind of wear Bois d'Argent and maybe get away with it, or maybe wear like something soapy, and that's how I get away with not wearing perfume, but I am wearing perfume. Vanilla Diorama is definitely what you wear to a kid's birthday party, to dinner with your friends, to meeting someone new for the first time. It's way more friendly, it's approachable, it's nice. It's still got a little spice, a little bit something interesting to it, but I love it. Love it. That's that. That's Dior Privee. Like I said, I've smelled other ones from the collection. I've smelled Gris Dior, which is a rose patchouli, and really hard to wow people with rose patchouli. I have so much rose patchouli, I don't need any more. I've smelled Rouge Trafalgar, which is their rose. also wasn't wowed by that. Eden Rock, which is a aquatic perfume. Still haven't found an aquatic I really love. There's a saltiness to New Look, but I wouldn't call it aquatic. Eau Noir, really liked it. Smells like Indian anise candies. Dior Riviera, more potent honey note. Didn't love that. Cologne Blanche, that was okay. Queer Canage, too leathery for my taste. I don't really love leather. Kind of reminded me of a baseball mitt. So if you played baseball growing up, maybe you need to smell that one. Mitza, I tried for the first time last week or the week before. Loved it. I tried it on my skin. I might need to find a bottle or a decant or sample at the very least because I really liked that one and it is discontinued. And I tried vetiver at the counter and that one was okay. But I already have a vetiver that I love, so I didn't really feel like I needed to get that one or even keep smelling it. It didn't like intrigue me to keep smelling it. The New Look and the Vanilla Diorama were intriguing enough where I left and I thought I need to smell those more. I need to understand those and wrap my head around them and make them part of me and my smells. So that's it for me. Let me know what your thoughts are on this line and if you have any in your collection and which ones are your favorite, which ones are you going to be adding, and if you also had this like immediate sense of like FOMO, like, okay, I've got some on my list and I need to cross them off before they get rid of them because who knows what's going to happen when they change the bottle size. If you're still following along, what they're doing for this is they're not just like getting rid of all the old bottles. They're going to offer them at counters until they're sold out. And then when they're sold out, they'll be replacing them with the new sizes. So that is how that's going to work. Don't sit and wait for these to show up at discounters because that probably won't happen. They're just going to sell them at the counters. So if you live in a place where there's a Dior counter, but they're not very busy, then you're in luck. You might have a lot of these available for a long time. And then when they're gone, they're gone. That's it. Bye.